this might not work. If it falls, I'm sorry. Welcome again to our Xena Weekly Watch. I will be posting this very soon. Okay, so this week, as we all know, this is a double dose for Autolycus, and I'll jump right in through to the tsunami and then go into Vanishing Act, and then some of my thoughts on it. So here we go, and I would like to see some more comments in the comments section of my weekly viewers, as far as from the forum, especially because next week I'm going to have a very special guest from the forum. I'm going to be trying to work hard all week to make sure that I get all the links and everything to her, so that she can participate. If not, I will have her via Skype, and we can do it that way. So let's just get right into Tsunami. Tsunami, for those of you who watched, for those of you who just want a little update, basically, we find Gabrielle sees Autolycus boarding basically a work camp slave ship. And I'm only talking about Xena Warrior Princess, so that's the only thing I will discuss. But hello. So basically, Gabrielle sees him board a slave ship. She tries to rescue him. This is when things go bad. Of course, Xena has to run to the rescue to save not only Gabrielle, but now Autolycus. A tsunami basically wreaks havoc, and they're about to all die. There's a few B characters that I will kind of mention. There's the slave owner who is using slaves to diamond mine for him, and he's using prisoners to do that. Along with his daughter, who doesn't realize this, and just thinks that he's overbearing, doesn't really understand why he can't run a successful enterprise. There's a killer on board who knows that he's a killer. He's a convicted killer. He just looks, basically, he doesn't trust anyone. He, in the beginning, is pretty much wanting just to save himself. Then he has some moments of reflection where he's just like, my life is meaningless. So if anyone will sacrifice themselves, it'll be me, because, I'm done anyway. Of course, Xena, being the hero that she is, she doesn't allow anyone to sacrifice themselves in that way. Even Autolycus, who we all see as the the King of Thieves, who is always out for himself. When push comes to shove, we see that he really is a hero in disguise. We learn more about how he became the King of Thieves in Vanishing Act, but I'll get to that in a minute. This was one of my least favorite episodes in the whole series, Tsunami. Okay, cool. I'd love to see it. I know a few people who have some outfits. One being Tammy Porter. I hope she can make it next week. Matter of fact, I'd love to actually interview her to see her process. That's a great idea. But this is just my weekly watch forum friends that do open discussion, and I like to do it via video instead of just writing it down. So anyway, so we get to I didn't like this episode only because our B characters, never really mentioned again. There's not really anything philosophical or religious based or anything that really no problems, Kiwi. Anytime you want to come, as long as you're respectful, I do not have a problem with almost anyone coming. So anyway, so where was I? Oh, so it really doesn't enhance the relationship of Xena and Gabrielle. It really doesn't enhance the relationship between Autolycus and the other two. It's just kind of there. Now, the only merit that I will say is my favorite line in almost the whole series that really personifies Xena's kind of ethical code is when Gabrielle goes and tries to help the killer, and then she runs to, she tries to help him first, and then runs to the person, her best friend, her love, Xena, and she's helping her up, and he yells at her. He says, "Why'd you do it?" And they both look. He says, "I'm a killer. Why did you help me? Why? What did you expect from me?" And Xena looks at him and she says, "From you, nothing. From me, nothing less." That line was worth the whole hour episode, pretty much. Because basically she's saying, you know what? You've done some things. Obviously, you're aware of them. I don't need to throw them in your face. But this isn't about me being your judge. Who am I to judge? Who am I to say, well, you deserve to die in the ship when I could have saved everyone? She wouldn't accept any less from her. She's going to save and do a good deed for anyone, regardless of their past. And this is Xena's basic moral ethic code. And I find that interesting because in that moment she was certain, but when they were in Rome, when Gabrielle, who is supposedly the more ethical or morally based empath of the group, she let someone die because of her judgment call, because of her judgment. So, like I said, I see that kind of flipping a little bit. And this kind of, like I said, it really shows what others have said as a hero's journey, where they don't expect anything from anyone else, but they expect nothing less than excellence from themselves. So that's basically Tsunami, the best part of Tsunami, period. And here Autolycus was not the humorist here. He was actually part of this plot line, which is much different. Just a second. back to talk about Vanishing Act. Sorry for the delay, I was helping somebody with something. So here we go with Vanishing Act. Again, back to back, Autolycus, which I love. This one was your comedy relief, but it gave us an insight into the King of Thieves and how his origin came to be. So basically, he had his younger? Yes, his younger brother was killed, and the way he took revenge was he went ahead and robbed the person who killed his brother. Instead of killing him, because, an eye for an eye, Autolycus is not a murderer. He's never killed anyone. That's not his moral code. So there's that. So basically, there's a statue that is missing, that basically is a sign of peace. So without this statue, there's no peace in the small village that they come to. I can't remember where they're at now, but again, it's another foreign land. And so basically, the Pax statue is missing, and Autolycus is there, but he did not steal it. He's there because he wanted to know how it was stolen. Because if he can't figure out how it was done, then he can't rightly call himself the King of Thieves. So his big thing was he's going to help the girls try and get it back so that he can restore the statue. But not only that, if he can steal it, then he will regain his crown of the King of Thieves. Which I love. Like I said, he is all about the glory of it. He really, even though he steals all these great things, you never see him very wealthy, which makes me believe that either he gives away his wealth to the less fortunate, or he does something noble with it, because he really just isn't about stealing for his own good. His own benefit. He probably uses it to travel, which is why we see him pop up in different places. But overall, he's all about helping his fellow man, as we saw in the previous episode. So this is actually foretelling a little bit of sacrifice, and how basically Xena says, if we can't do things his way, then it's going to take away from him, and then he won't feel like he is the King of Thieves if, she comes and just saves the day and, does it all her way. And she feels that he needs that in order to feel of value. And so it kind of gives this question of, does the fact that he lost his brother was stolen from him, and that he became a thief to justify it, is that what defines him? Or is it his action of trying to always wrong or right define him? Because when he wants glory, and when he wants, I'm sorry, they're having a party out there. When he wants, what he wants people to know him as King of Thieves, not as this do-gooder, not as this righteous person that does, the right thing all the time. Even though that says more about a person's character than being a good thief. But being a good thief keeps everybody on their toes, whether you know him as the King of Thieves because you're a warlord and you're afraid of him, or whether you seek him out to right a wrong. He just wants to be a legend so that even if he dies, even if something happens to him, his name lives on. So it really gives a huge dimension to this character, which I love. Where he's not like Joxer, where it's just a lot of slapstick. He has a real rapier wit, which we've seen in some of the other episodes with him. When he's being whipped by the Amazons and he, makes a joke, hey, I thought I paid for the hour. That no other character can do quite like him. I think they picked the perfect actor to play him. I think he really had fun with the part. Of course, we have Xena and Gabrielle, with their funny costumes and their accents, and, it's just really funny. I want to say Lucy Lawless is channeling some sort of Fran Drescher-like character, which I think is hilarious, only because, 90s shows are going to mimic 90s shows. So that's just a really fun episode. Again, like I said, he never wants money or a payment for doing good deeds. He just wants the glory of his title of King of Thieves. And I think Xena and Gabrielle respect him for that. So this has been my little take on these two episodes. Like I said, hopefully next week when we talk about Sacrifice, part 1 and 2, I will have a special guest. I need to figure out how to do that on the computer. It's been so long since I've had anyone else on panel. And I will see you guys next week. For those of you who are on spring break, happy spring break. Remember daylight savings time.